And we are back. So we will see many examples of how to use a function, and hopefully your fundamentals will be clear. We will start with the simplest method and we will keep making it more and more complex until we are done. So stay focused. So first, let us create our first function, and I have given this a name to make it a little bit funny, called first useless function, right? So def, which is define my useless function, then elliptical bracket close, colon, return none. How we use this useless function, it is as simple as below. Notice we are saving the result of function in a variable called a. So this is variable a, and this is where we are saving our function, right? You may or may not save it, it is up to you, and if you decide to save it in a variable, you can give it any name you want. So a equals to my useless function, and I close the elliptical bracket. So how do we see what got saved in variable a? Print a comes none, because here we had given return none. It is printing none because in the second line of the function we return none. That we noticed, right? This is what we did. Notice above we are still returning none, but we are printing out something to the screen. In this case it is a simple message, but in reality it is as complex as you want. So how do we use this function? Just like before, b equals to a little useful function, bracket close, print b, hello there, none. Now this was a question thrown through the students in the class. Can somebody explain where there are two lines printed in the above output? Now let us create a function that accepts the number and prints a square, cube and 1 to 10 table. Please note that in this case we need to pass a number as the argument, right? So find out, this is a little trivia for you. So define square, cube and table, input number. So this is all going to be given to you. Do not worry, just have a look as to how this has been written. By now I'm very sure, and I'm very confident after going over the previous few lectures that was delivered to you. You will be very easy. The only it would be very easy for you to deliver this lines of code. The only thing that you must look here is here, this. So now notice how we use it. In this case we choose not to save the result to a variable, but simply call the function. I'm just calling the function. So square of 5 is 25, cube 125. All I'm doing is I am using this. All you have to notice is I'm sorry. Here also in this I am using 5. So square, cube and 1 to 10 table. So square, cube and table. Similarly for 213, square, cube and 1 to 10 table. Notice how we can't use it. The input is expected to be a number. If you pass any other data type, there will be an error. Now if I have used, instead of 5, if I have put them in brackets, like in apostrophes, then what happens is it goes as a string, and that is going to create an error and it will not be proceeding further. So there will be an error and it would be stopped. Now let us create a function that accepts two inputs, first the number and second a name. There is an easy way of doing it. I really like this particular lecture, it's pretty interesting. It says hello to the name and it's prints a square, cube and 1 to 10 table. Please note that in this case we need to pass a number and the name as the arguments. So what am I doing here? Defining greet and square, cube and table. So three things I am doing. I'm doing greeting, I'm creating square, cube, as well as I'm creating the table. So print hello there, name, then print. This is the command here. So here one important thing that I want to draw your attention to is this bit. See, whenever we are passing a function like this, right, the number has to be the first one and then the name. If you put the name first and then the number, there would be a problem and it will not be accepted by Python. I did not write it. This is how Python has been written. We will see that in the due course of the lecture. But just to draw your attention, I wanted to show you this. So I have written here 5 and Coel, and in D I have defined 5 and Robert Downing Jr. So we can't change the order of the argument while calling using a function. Greet and square, cube and table, 5 Robert Downing Jr. This is okay. Greet and square, cube and table, Robert Downing Jr., comma 5. This is not okay. This is not okay. The thing that I just mentioned to you, there is a problem, and we will see what the problem is. The present, this presents us with the problem. Somehow we need to remember the argument input type and name and pass it exactly in the same order. What if we have many confusing arguments? Does Python help in some way in such cases? While calling using the function, you can also call it by inputs arguments name followed by equals to sign. Then it is okay. So here, if you want to change the order, what do you have to think of? You have to think of the equals to sign if you want to change the order. Otherwise, you pass the number first and then the string. Number string, number string. And if you want to change the order, you will have to use the equals to operator. That's the fundamental difference. So greet and square, cube and table, input number equals to 5, name Robert Downing Jr. Similarly, name Robert Downing Jr. input 5. So this is how it has to be. It has to be written. We have an additional requirement. What if we want to pass a default argument so that even if we don't supply any argument, the function will execute with the default argument? This is where the keyword argument go in. You supply a default argument which is preceded by an equals to operator sign. I am first writing a normal function and then writing another version of function with a keyword argument that has a default value. Now you have a look at it. Look at what is typed here. What is the fundamental difference? So if you want to use the first function, we must give an argument. For the second function, we can definitely give an argument, but if we don't supply an argument, it will use the default argument. So when you give nothing, it takes the default. So pay attention, a square, cube, table, input number equals to 8, square, cube, table, default in empty bracket, nothing, and then we have square, cube, table, default, input number equals to 8. So far we have been returning none from the function to the main program. Now we will see how to return a value. Suppose you want to add all the numbers from 0 up until the input number provided and then finally return it so that it can be used by the main program. For example, suppose you want to pass the argument 6, we want to compute this and then return it so that it can be used by the main program. So we will write the function as below. By the way, this kind is called as the cumulative sum because it accumulates the sum of every number in the sequence. So cumulative sum, this is how it's going to be. E equals to cumulative sum of 6. So print E. Please note that we can also use the value of E in the program since it got saved. So F equals to cumulative sum 1942. Print F. and then print type f. What is the type of f? So how do you use the function for many variables? Using for while loop, using map. Suppose we have to calculate the cumulative sum of every number in the list: 234, 564, 893, 298, 10,039 using loop. So this is how we go about doing it. You will be given all the codes and you have to execute, you have to learn, and you have to ask questions, and only then you will get a better understanding of what this is all about. So using map, this is Pythonic, a very special type. So list map in bracket open, then again cumulative sum comma my list. Map is also a function. It expects in the elliptical bracket first argument as the name of the function, which we have to apply over and over again, and second argument is a list or tuple or any data structure of choice. Both achieve the same result. You must know both the methods. Now your turn. You have to go about executing this program. Create a function that takes as input the income of a person in Indian rupees and returns the final tax for that person. Now this is a homework for everybody who is listening to this lecture. You will have to execute it. You will have to find out how do we go about it. This is an exam, and this again we are coming to this. Right, so this is what you have to do. We have the answer here, and this is your question. So once you have created the function, apply it to the list of following incomes, first by A for loop and then by map. So how you go about doing is totally up to you. Do it as you feel like. In the best possible manner you want to go for it. And after you have done so, we will move on to the next bit of the lecture, which is going to be object oriented programming and use of classes. And that point the course will complete and project will be left. So we will see more. We will have a few more lectures, right? So we stop here and we come back again. Thank you.